Hi, this is Bob James. I'm Robbie Takeack's co-author of the Music in Action program that brings hands-on training to high school students interested in careers in the music industry. The following is part one of a recent three-part interview with Nils Lofgren, best known as a guitarist, but also a multi-instrumentalist, band leader, vocalist, composer, and more recently a guitar teacher. Nils has also served as a band member alongside Neil Young, Bruce Springsteen, Ringo Starr, and many others. Check out nilslofgren.com for more information about Nils and MuseAction, M-U-S-Action, museaction.org for more information about the Music in Action program. And check back to this page really soon for parts 2 and 3 of our interview with Nils Lofgren.
Well, geez, as a kid, I fell in love with rock and roll as a classical accordion player in my early teens, and it wasn't until I was about 15 I picked up the guitar as a hobby, really. And in the middle 60s, we really didn't see rock and roll as a vocation for middle America, and really it was after seeing Jimi Hendrix live where I realized that it was kind of like a calling, so to speak.
Yeah,
and it was kind of scary in the mid '60s. Actually, it was '68. I turned professional and hit the road, and I didn't know anything about the music business, and asked a lot of questions, and got a lot of good information from people. Got a lot of cold shoulders. Got thrown out of a lot of places, and got welcomed by some kind people, and including Neil Young, who gave me a break doing the After the Gold Rush record at 18 years old. But
wow,
I put a band together, and basically, I at the same time, I kind of got possessed by this belief that I was meant to play, write, create, and share music, come what may. Of course, the plan was, as a 17-year-old, to find a way to make a living.
Yeah.
Part of the impractical dream was, hey, I'll make a few records, become a billionaire, and when I'm 20, decide what to do with my life. But there's also a part of the kind of young, maturing teenager that recognized that even back then, that's very unrealistic. But is there a way to make a living and share music and create it? And that's what I've managed to do for 39 years with a lot of ups and downs, but that's the overriding theme. And a lot of side tracks and mistakes along the way, but that's still been the main theme. And, it's certainly fast forward to about, even in the early 80s, I lost a record deal, and that was a long time ago, the early 80s. And the music industry, as I searched for another record deal, were starting to label me, and they, kindly as they could, said, Nils, you're a dinosaur. You've been around forever. You've never had a hit record, so you're not a good business bet, and this is a business. And that was scary. And, again, fast forward, I did manage to get a deal, but it was more based on a great gift of joining the E Street Band, which I've been in for 23 years.
Yeah.
But I started recognizing and seeing a little more clearly along the way that it is a business, and a lot of people get chewed up by it, and I've come close to that, but it hasn't happened. And about 14 years ago, I got out of my last big deal in 95, maybe 13, 14 years ago, and recognized that it was time for me to part ways with the traditional music industry, which at that point was very hands-on. And if you don't have hit records and make them a lot of money, they basically any power or say in the creative process became a co-share, and you really didn't have final say in your music. And I recognized also, as someone who'd been at it since '68, that was something more than ever I needed for any kind of spiritual or emotional peace.
Yeah.
So I parted ways with record companies, and again, the old adage of believing in myself, believed that there had to be some alternative way. And certainly singing in little clubs, which has been my mainstay for almost 40 years on the road, I continue to do in mostly England, Europe, and the Northeast. But that's a lot of work, and of course I was, get up to 150 plus dates a year. You're on the road most of the time, but still, it's a way to, play and share music. And once I left the record companies, I could make music and sell it at a little table at the end of the night, and share the music with people. It was much more grassroots and smaller numbers, but you were more in control of it and your own future. And that was 14 years ago, and now with the help of people helping with my website, nilslofgren.com. It's kind of a brave new world. I've got some free downloads. I've got some $5 downloads, some interesting projects. I've got a new acoustic live DVD with friends on it. I've got my last record, Sacred Weapon, my CD that I sell through the websites. And it gives me the freedom to do what I'm proud of, and that in itself engages me emotionally and spiritually and keeps me excited because I don't have anyone telling me why I can't do something. And at the same time, the numbers are smaller, but it's a business that you're in charge of, and you get to grow and learn and use technology to your advantage, hopefully. And it's kind of a brave new world, but the message is also that for me, you got to find a way to have some kind of peace of mind as you navigate the whole thing. And for me and my history, in about 95, after my last record deal, I recognized that peace of mind no longer existed for me.
What do you mean the
traditional music? Well, basically, what happens is, understandably, record companies. When I started in '68, it was multi-million-dollar industry, and now it's $1 billion industry.
Yeah,
there's much more at stake financially to much larger, much more profitable companies. So their attitude is, look, if we invest in you with our giant machine, if you sell, 300,000 records, you're a flop and a failure, and you're going to be dismissed. This is big business. We need to make some big decisions, and it's our money, so we're going to help you.
Yeah.
And I'm just not someone that does well. I do well with producers and people that have an affinity for my vision of music. I don't do well with business people who are, job is to well, Nils, you and your music have been a failure financially, so we're going to change everything. Your writing's no good. You're going to write with this guy. I don't like the way you look. We're going to, you know what I mean? That is for some people, and it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And I cannot tell anyone how to run their life or their business. And the business I was in became one where I was a commodity that was an unsuccessful one that required changing everything. Right at a point in my life where I was starting to get comfortable with what I would and couldn't do, and had some kind of a track record, and I felt like I was getting better and growing and learning and getting more excited about the shows I was doing and the music I was writing. So it kind of butted heads at the same time. My lack of commercial success in this industry butted heads with my growing confidence and excitement about who I was and what I could offer musically, and they didn't fit at all. And it was basically, take a record deal, let us change everything you like about yourself because it equals a bad commercial venture for us. And since we're investing a lot of money, let's just, and I couldn't be that uncomfortable and live with myself. So it was time to part ways with the music industry. I really don't see myself ever having a record deal again.
Yeah, but it sounds like that you don't see any bright light on the side of the record deal as far as the way the business is these days. Anyway, it's not like it doesn't seem like it feels like a huge loss. It's like it's just a resolution that this is the other path is the true path for me now, right?
Well, for me, it was a huge step in the right direction, recognizing that it was time to stop, fitting that square peg into the round hole.
Yeah.
Listen, I had my run. I made a lot of records. I got a lot of critical success. I got some airplay. I can't argue with a business that says, Nils, we've invested X amount and we've lost more than we've invested. You're a bad bet.
Yeah.
So if we're going to do business from here on out, we're going to change everything and we're going to run the show.
And you said
I'm
no.
like, I understand that, and that's not okay for me. So let's part company. And it was a year and a half of, hell for me to get off my last big record deal in '95. And once I did, I recognized that freedom was at all costs something I needed to hang on to, and I have. And, of course, my last couple records, there's a great distributor in America, Big Daddy, who Anson Smith, my manager, makes a deal with, and we still sell it on my website, nilslofgren.com, but they distribute it in some of the shops.
Yeah.
The promotion's on me, and thankfully, because of my history, there are stations that'll let me come on the radio and sing and play and talk about my new stuff. So there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's a lot of alternatives. I don't say unequivocally, like if you're young and you're just starting out, and listen, the goal is to share music. If you have a major label that wants to put tons of money and their machine behind you, I'm not saying that's a bad